If you are replaceable, you are already dead. Not physically, but in the only way that matters in this world. Your time, your effort, your loyalty. None of it means anything if someone else can do your job tomorrow for less. The world doesn't care how hard you try. It only cares how hard you are to replace. And right now, most people are nothing but numbers in a system designed to forget them. You feel it every day in how easily you're ignored, how quickly you're overlooked. So listen carefully. This isn't about success. This is about survival. You wake up every morning thinking you're free. But Thomas Shelby would laugh at that thought. Because the real war isn't fought with guns. It's fought inside your head. And most people lose it before they even realize they're in it. From the day you're born, you're trained to be useful, not valuable. School teaches you to follow instructions. Jobs teach you to obey systems. Social media teaches you to seek approval. Comfort teaches you to stay quiet. None of these things make you powerful. They make you predictable. And predictable men are easy to control. That's the invisible war. A war for your mind, your ambition, your hunger. Look around. You'll see millions of people working themselves to exhaustion, yet staying in the same place. They wake up tired, go to sleep tired, and repeat it for decades. They call it responsibility. Thomas Shelby calls it a cage. The system doesn't want you dangerous, it wants you dependent. Because a man who needs his paycheck will never challenge the hand that feeds him. A man who needs approval will never speak the truth. A man who needs comfort will never take risks. And a man who never takes risks never becomes valuable. That's why most people remain small. They are told, be realistic, play it safe, don't dream too big. But those are not warnings. Those are control mechanisms. When you believe security is more important than growth, you trade your future for a monthly salary. When you believe failure is shameful, you avoid the very risks that create greatness. When you believe you are average, you start acting like it. And average men are always replaceable. Thomas Shelby understood something most people never do. If the system is comfortable with you, you are weak. The moment you become valuable, you become inconvenient. You ask for more. You demand respect. You stop begging. Systems hate men they cannot control, so they distract you. They give you entertainment instead of education, trends instead of skills, dreams instead of discipline. You scroll, you laugh, you watch others live while your own potential slowly dies, and you don't even feel it. That is the genius of the trap. It feels good. It feels easy. It feels normal. But normal is where ambition goes to die. Most people never become valuable because they're too busy being comfortable. They chase pleasure instead of power, validation instead of mastery, stability instead of leverage. Then they wonder why they're ignored. In Thomas Shelby's world, nobody cares how nice you are. Nobody cares how long you've been trying. The only thing that matters is, can you do something others can't? If the answer is no, you don't have a career. You have a temporary role. The invisible war is simple. It is you versus the version of you that wants things to stay easy. And that version is winning right now. Because every day you delay learning a real skill, every day you avoid discomfort, every day you choose distraction over discipline, you become more replaceable. The world is not against you. It just does not need you yet. And until it does, you will always be paid less, respected less, and valued less than you deserve. Remember this, nobody is born worthless. They are trained to be. Most people think talent makes them valuable. Thomas Shelby would call that a lie told to keep you quiet. The world is full of talented people who are broke, ignored, and invisible. You can sing better, work harder, think faster. But if you are standing in the wrong place, none of it matters. A diamond on the street is just a rock. The same diamond in a crown is priceless. That is positioning. That is where real value lives. Value is not what you can do. Value is where you stand when you do it. Millions of people have skills. Very few people are in a position that cannot be easily taken. The man who controls access, timing, and direction will always be more valuable than the man who simply performs. A delivery boy works harder than a CEO, but the CEO decides where the deliveries go. That decision is worth more than all the sweat. Thomas Shelby did not become powerful because he was the best fighter. He became powerful because he controlled the table where deals were made. When you control the table, everyone else waits for your permission to eat. That is positioning. Most people are running in circles, polishing their skills, hoping someone will notice. But Shelby would never wait to be noticed. He would move himself into a place where he could not be ignored. There is a big difference between being good and being necessary. Good people get praised. Necessary people get paid. The system does not reward effort. It rewards leverage. Leverage is what happens when you sit in a place that others cannot reach. When you are the bridge, the gate, or the source. You do not need to be the smartest man in the room if you are the one everyone must go through. That is how value is built. Look at the world. The richest people are not the hardest workers. They are the ones who position themselves where money flows. Media controls attention. Banks control money. Tech controls data. Those positions print power. The workers inside them can be replaced. The position itself cannot. Thomas Shelby understood this better than anyone. He did not fight every enemy. He made himself the man every enemy had to deal with. When people need you to move forward, you become valuable. When people can go around you, you are finished. That is why most people stay stuck. They are upgrading their skills, but never upgrading their position. They become better tools instead of becoming the hand that holds the tool. A sharper knife is still just a knife. The one holding it decides what happens. You must stop asking how to get better and start asking where to stand. Where is the demand? Where is the shortage? Where do people lose time, money, and power? That is where value hides. Thomas Shelby would never chase work. He would place himself where work had to come to him. When you do that, you stop begging for opportunities. You become the opportunity. And that is when the world starts paying you differently. Thomas Shelby did not rise because he was lucky. He rose because he understood power before he ever touched it. He came from nothing, from mud and blood and broken streets, but he never thought like a poor man. Poor men look for safety. Shelby looked for leverage. While others tried to survive, he tried to control. That difference alone changed his destiny. When you grow up with nothing, you either accept your place or you decide to take one. Shelby chose to take it. He studied people the way generals study maps. He watched who feared who needed who had resources and who had none. He realized early that raw strength means nothing without strategy. A man with fists can win a fight. A man with a plan can win a war. Shelby always wanted the war. He never rushed into chaos. He waited until everyone else made mistakes, and then he stepped in when it mattered. That patience made him dangerous. Most men react. Shelby calculated. And in a world of chaos, the man who calculates becomes king. He built power not by being loud, but by being unavoidable. Every deal, every territory, every move started to pass through him. When you control the flow, you control the outcome. He made himself the bridge between money and violence, between fear and protection. That made him necessary. And necessary men are always protected. Shelby did not waste energy proving himself. He created situations where others had to prove themselves to him. That is real power. He used reputation like a weapon. People did not need to see his strength. They felt it before he even walked into the room. Fear travels faster than fists. He allowed stories to grow about him because stories build walls. When people believe you are powerful, they behave as if you are. And when they behave that way long enough, you become it. Shelby also understood alliances. Weak men looked for friends. Strong men looked for leverage. Every relationship he built had a purpose. Every handshake was a contract. Every smile was a calculation. He never gave loyalty for free. He traded it for position. And position is what keeps you alive when things turn ugly. He also embraced risk when others hid from it. While most men avoided danger, Shelby stepped into it because danger creates opportunity. When the world is scared, the brave get rich. He used chaos as a ladder. Wars, disputes, broken systems, these were not threats to him. They were openings. That is why he kept rising while others stayed stuck. He never waited for permission. He took what he could hold, and when someone challenged him, he did not get emotional. He got strategic. Emotion clouds judgment. Shelby's mind stayed cold. That allowed him to see angles others missed. He would lose a battle if it meant winning a war. Pride never mattered to him. Power did. That is the lesson most people miss. They want to look strong instead of being strong. Shelby did not care how he was seen as long as he was in control. Over time, his influence became larger than his presence. He did not need to be everywhere. His name was enough. When your name opens doors, you have power. When your absence creates fear, you have control. That is how a man built an empire from nothing. Not with talent alone, not with luck, but with positioning, patience, and a ruthless understanding of how the world really works. Thomas Shelby would tell you the world is not fair, but it is simple. It only recognizes 3 types of men, and only one of them is ever truly rewarded. The first type is the obedient man. He follows rules, waits for instructions, and hopes loyalty will save him. He shows up on time, does what he is told, and keeps his head down. The system loves him because he is easy to manage, but it never respects him because he is easy to replace. If he disappears tomorrow, another obedient man will take his place by next week. That is his curse. The second type is the busy man. He is always working, always moving, always exhausted. He feels important because his schedule is full. But being busy is not the same as being valuable. He produces a lot, but owns nothing. He works harder than anyone, yet he has no control over what he works on. He mistakes motion for progress. Shelby would say, this man is running on a treadmill, sweating a lot, but going nowhere. Both the obedient man and the busy man serve the system. They keep it alive, but neither of them control it. Then there is the third type, the dangerous man. Not dangerous because he is violent, but dangerous because he cannot be ignored. He has skills that are rare, decisions that matter, and a presence that changes outcomes. When he enters a room, things shift. He is not there to follow or to stay busy. He is there to influence. This is the man who gets paid. This is the man who gets protected because he creates results that others cannot. The dangerous man does not ask for permission. He brings value that forces people to negotiate with him. He controls a resource, a network, a skill, or a position that others need. That need gives him power. Thomas Shelby built himself into this type of man. People did not like him, but they needed him. And in the real world, need is stronger than like. That is why nice people are often ignored. They give too much and demand too little. The dangerous man does the opposite. He sets terms. He decides what his time is worth. He chooses when to give and when to withhold. That is why he cannot be pushed around. The obedient man fears losing his job. The busy man fears slowing down. The dangerous man fears nothing except becoming irrelevant. So he keeps sharpening his edge. He keeps expanding his influence. He keeps positioning himself where his absence would be felt. That is how he stays paid. The system does not reward effort. It rewards impact. The dangerous man creates impact. When he leaves, things break. When he stays, things grow. That difference is everything. You must decide which type of man you want to be. Because the world already has more obedient and busy men than it needs, but it will always pay for one who is dangerous. Thomas Shelby never chased money. He chased control, and money followed. Because the skills that create real wealth are not the ones they teach in classrooms. They are the ones that make other people move. The first is communication, not talking, but commanding. A man who can frame a conversation decides who wins it. Shelby could walk into a room and with a few calm words make men twice his size hesitate. When you can control how others think, you control what they do. The second skill is decision-making. Most people freeze when pressure hits. Shelby became clearer. While others panic, he chooses, and the man who chooses creates the future. Indecision is weakness. Speed with clarity is power. The third skill is emotional control. Anger, fear, and ego make men stupid. Shelby never let his emotions run his strategy. He could feel everything, but he acted like nothing. That made him unpredictable, and unpredictability keeps enemies careful. Another skill is persuasion, not begging but influence. Shelby did not force people to obey. He made them believe it was in their best interest. When someone thinks your success benefits them, they will work for you for free. That is leverage. Then there is strategy, knowing not just what to do, but when and how. Shelby planned 3 moves ahead. He was never trapped because he always had an exit. A man without a plan is a man without protection. Strategy is what keeps you alive when things go wrong. Negotiation is another deadly skill. Shelby never took the first offer. He understood that whoever sets the terms controls the outcome. He could turn a weak position into a strong one by changing the conversation. Money flows to men who can shape deals. Reputation is also a skill. People think it just happens, but Shelby built his carefully. Every action sent a message. Every story added to his legend. When your name stands for something powerful, people treat you differently before you even speak. And finally, there is the skill of reading people. Shelby could see fear, greed, and weakness behind every smile. When you know what drives someone, you know how to move them. That is the highest form of control. These are the skills that print respect and money, not because they are flashy, but because they make you necessary. A man with these skills does not chase opportunities. Opportunities chase him. Thomas Shelby would tell you this, her. Nobody remembers the replaceable. The world is full of men who could vanish tomorrow, and nobody would notice. If you want to matter, if you want to be feared, respected, and paid, you must make yourself impossible to replace. It begins with specialization. You cannot be everything to everyone. You must become the man who does what others cannot. That skill, that position, that knowledge becomes your shield. When people need what only you can provide, you no longer ask for permission. You dictate terms. The second step is dependency. Shelby made himself the bridge. No one could cross without him. The moment others depend on you, your value rises. Influence is born from necessity. Make yourself the problem solver, the key, the man without whom nothing moves. The third step is consistency. Shelby never let a weakness slip in public. Your presence must always deliver results, predictably lethal in efficiency. When people know they can count on you, fear turns into respect. Unpredictable performance is worthless. Consistent excellence is priceless. Fourth is visibility. You must be seen in the right rooms and the right circles. Not to brag, but so the right people know they cannot do without you. The fifth step is leverage. Shelby never gave loyalty without a return. He built reciprocal dependence. Make it so that when you give value, others are tied to it. Their success becomes linked to yours. Sixth is control over time and attention. Your energy is finite. Only invest it where it multiplies your value. Shelby chose deals that expanded his influence, not trivial tasks that wasted it. Seventh is strategic risk. Unreplaceable men take calculated dangers that others avoid. Or men hide, they act. That is how positions are won. Eighth is reputation as armor. Shelby understood the legend of him was as powerful as the man himself. Build a reputation so strong that it precedes you, so enemies hesitate before confronting and allies obey without question. Ninth is adaptability. The unreplaceable man bends without breaking. Systems change, people change, power shifts. If you remain rigid, you become irrelevant. Shelby thrived because he evolved while others decayed. And finally, the 10th is self-mastery. Control your habits, your emotions, and your decisions. A man who cannot govern himself is always replaceable. Master yourself, and you master your world. When you combine skill, necessity, consistency, visibility, leverage, control, risk, reputation, adaptability, and self-mastery, you become unreplaceable. Others may try to mimic you, fight you, or sideline you, but the world bends around a man who cannot be substituted. That is Thomas Shelby's secret, to make himself necessary, feared, and unavoidable. Be the man without whom the machine stops. That is power. That is value. That is being unreplaceable. Thomas Shelby would tell you this bluntly. Being nice does not make you rich. The world does not reward kindness. It rewards necessity. Nice people are agreeable. They say yes when they should say no. They work for others' benefit, hoping approval will translate into opportunity. It never does. The world takes advantage of those who give freely and demand little. Shelby observed it early. He saw men with talent, charm, and effort go nowhere because they were too accommodating. They are polite at the wrong time, generous when it costs them power, forgiving when they should strike. Being nice gets you liked. Being needed gets you paid. Nice men avoid conflict. Dangerous men embrace it strategically. Nice men fear rejection. Powerful men use it to their advantage. Nice men think fairness exists. Shelby knows it does not. Money, respect, influence, they do not follow fairness. They follow leverage. The moment you put yourself above being liked, you create scarcity. People cannot replace you because your value exceeds their comfort. You stop giving away time, energy, and influence for free. You create boundaries. Nice men negotiate badly or not at all. Shelby never gave without getting. Every smile, every handshake, every favor had a return. That is how he controlled others while appearing calm. Most nice men work for pennies, hope for recognition, and wait for doors to open. Shelby understood the doors only open for men who build them. Nice men follow. Powerful men lead. And that is the difference. To be rich, to be respected, you must sometimes be ruthless. You must choose impact over approval. Shelby did not need to be liked. He needed to be unavoidable. He needed to be the man everyone had to deal with. That is why nice men are always poor. They give value without creating demand. They please without earning leverage. They serve without being necessary. Stop trying to be liked. Start trying to be needed. Stop giving away your power for applause. Build scarcity. Build influence. Make yourself the man others cannot replace. Then, and only then, will wealth follow. Being feared or respected may make people uncomfortable, but it also makes them pay. That is the truth Thomas Shelby lived by. Kindness is a luxury you cannot afford if you want power. Scarcity, necessity, and control are priceless. Thomas Shelby would tell you the world shifts the moment you stop being replaceable. When people realize they need you, everything changes. Doors that were closed swing open. Conversations that ignored you now ask your opinion. Power follows value because the world always pays for what it cannot do without. You walk into a room and suddenly, people listen differently. Deals are offered, respect is automatic, and fear quietly settles where doubt used to be. The moment you become valuable, your presence alone changes outcomes. Shelby built that aura deliberately. He cultivated skills, position, and influence until others depended on him. That dependence became his currency. When you are needed, excuses vanish. People no longer question your terms, they negotiate around them. Attention becomes automatic because scarcity demands it. You stop chasing opportunities. Opportunities chase you. Invitations, offers, and alliances come to you naturally because others cannot function without your contribution. That is why the valuable man always rises faster than the talented man. Talent alone is replaceable. Necessity is not. You start to see the world differently. People respect your time. Enemies hesitate to challenge you. Allies protect you instinctively. You control the flow of events instead of being swept by them. Shelby understood that once your value is undeniable, your life is no longer dictated by others. You choose where to invest your energy, who to trust, and when to act. You have leverage in every interaction, and power follows naturally. That is the turning point. When people cannot replace you, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You dictate your own terms. Life stops ignoring you, you stop surviving, you start commanding. And once you reach that threshold, the world must respond, because necessity is stronger than desire, and control is stronger than effort. Being valuable is not just about money, influence, or fear. It is about becoming a force that the world cannot ignore. That is when life changes forever. Thomas Shelby would leave you with this. The world does not care about your potential. It only rewards what you make necessary. Decide your worth before someone else assigns it. Build skills they cannot ignore. Position yourself where you are needed and control what others depend on. Stop chasing approval. Stop begging for opportunity. Become unreplaceable, because the moment you do, respect, fear, and influence follow naturally. Wealth, power, and control are not given, they are claimed. Choose now to be the man the world cannot replace, or spend your life waiting for permission. Your move defines everything.